In today's video we're going to be jumping in some more Elden Ring Nightreign, and I'm going to be going over relics, everything you need to know about them. At its core, relics are probably the most essential thing in the game, and they're something that will probably be keeping you sticking around for a while in order to try and perfect your builds and get them in the slot colours that you're after for your favourite characters. Now as you're playing through Elden Ring Nightreign, you're going to start to unlock a whole bunch of these, and they come in 3 different tier rarities. First one's going to be Delicate, giving you 1 stat. The second one's going to be Polished, which will give you 2 stat modifiers, and the third one, which you'll be after most more than any other, is going to give you 3 stats overall, and that's going to be your Grand Relics. These will definitely be the ones you're going to be after, as if you're lucky you'll be able to get some really nice modifiers on these that can truly enhance your build, making you really powerful even from the start of your expeditions. Now unlike in many games where you would think that the colour actually represents a certain stat, for example red I would identify mainly as strength most times, yellow you'd probably think is faith, blue for intelligence, etc. In Nightreign however, as far as I can tell, pretty much anything can roll on any of these coloured relics, but the main reason you're going to be having them in different colours is to try and make them match up and fit into your relic rights, because each character will have a different set of variant colours. You can actually unlock a few different ones of these from the vendor back in Round Table Hold, as well as when you're completing each character's personal remembrance quest. Now the most standard way that you'll be acquiring these relics is going to be whenever you're going out and doing your expeditions, and win or lose you'll manage to get hold of a few of these, so that works out nicely. But the further you get into your expedition, mainly when you're hitting that last boss, when you'll be able to accrue 3 or 4 of these relics, which will give you a higher chance of them being higher tier rarity. Getting hold of the grand ones can really help you out, because some of them can have some ridiculously powerful stats on them, especially if you manage to get all 3 for a certain class, and if you do defeat the final boss of Night 3, you're also going to get a bit more of the currency needed in order to gamble for more relics back at your Small Jar Bazaar. And speaking of the Small Jar Bazaar, that's going to be this fella just here, your main vendor back at the Round Table Hold, where you'll be able to buy a whole bunch of stuff with the currency you've earned from your expeditions. You can get some great things here, such as some more relic rights, which can really help you out early on, gestures if you want to do some cool poses during your expeditions, as well as of course a whole bunch more relics that you're going to want to look at, see if any of them fit into your build or make you stronger overall. Now at the start these are going to be a little bit lackluster, they're only going to be the lower tier ones, so you're not going to have much going on with them, but you may want to pick up 1 or 2 if you're starting out, such as something like Vigor 3, which can help you to get a little bit further in your expeditions if you're struggling with your health. However, as you start to beat a lot of the bosses, this inventory is going to expand, and you can grab yourself some really nice relics in here a little bit later on, after about 4 or 5 bosses are defeated, because some of these purple grand relics will show up, and they're also kind of customised for certain characters, so they may well be worth looking at to see if they'll make your build more powerful. However, if you're anything like me, a large amount of your resources, all of your currency in fact, is going to go down to the bottom just here, where you're going to be getting your scenic flat zones, which is going to be your kind of gambling within this game, in order to see if you can get a god roll on those relics, or at least ones that have some very high stats on them. These do cost a little bit of currency, around about 600 each time, so you probably need to complete around about 3 or 4 expeditions before you can actually purchase 10 of these, which personally I found best overall, because then you can look at them and hopefully you'll find yourself something nice within the whole lot, rather than just getting 1 and being disappointed straight away. However, again, this is luck based, and the highest tier ones, those grand ones, don't roll every single time. So what you can do, if you've got a whole bunch of relics that you want to get rid of because you're never going to use them on any of your characters, especially I'd say probably the lower tier ones or ones that have stats that are awful for you, then you're going to head back over to where you actually place your relics on your characters, then flicking through it, up at the top here you'll be able to scroll all the way to the very end, where you'll be able to sell off the ones that you just know you definitely don't want. Most times, like I said, it's going to be the small one with just 1 modifier on them, so if you want to filter it to get rid of those you can, but probably check through just to make sure there's nothing on it that you actually think you might use on some of your classes. But after you've worked out what you want to get rid of, sell everything off, make yourself some more merc currency, and then you'll be able to head back over to the vendor once more and grab yourself another lot of those scenic flatstones. Now not every time, but sometimes luck will definitely be on your side. Like in this one, again I've decided to roll 10, and even though a few of them aren't the best, some of them are these grand ones that have some really nice stats on them. Hitting 3 modifiers on these for a certain character is definitely on the tricky side. I think I've only had 1 so far, and I've purchased an absolute abundance of these things, so you might want to be forewarned that it's going to take a whole bunch of currency to get a very powerful build in this game, or at least one that I'd consider kind of god tier. But that's going to be part of the fun, especially if you're going to be playing these games for quite some time. Investing in these is definitely going to be one of the ways in order to make yourself really powerful overall. Right, so I'd say we've covered the kind of primary ways of getting hold of these relics. It's going to be by going out, doing your expeditions, making your currency. Then if you want to acquire even more, you're going to go over to the small jar bazaar, spend your currency there, and hopefully get yourself something really nice with the kind of gambling effect going on. But if you want some guaranteed ones that have set in stone stats on them, then you may want to look into these last two ways, and that's going to be by defeating bosses within the game. First time you do this, on each one of the night 3 bosses is going to give you a guaranteed set in stone boss relic, and these can have some really good stats on them. Now, a few of them I think may not actually be able to be rolled on any other way. I may be wrong about that, but I haven't come across them yet, and even if they are, they're very rare, making these highly sought after and work in a lot of builds. Now, the other way that I'd recommend for each character, especially the one that you most enjoy playing, is going to be by going over and doing their remembrance, which is kind of like their personal quest chain. This is 100% worth doing, as it's going to give you some really great rewards that's mainly going to be focused around your actual character that you're going to be using. As you're completing the chapters, you're going to earn yourself special relics such as this one right here, the Golden Dew, but as well as that, something that you'll definitely want for each class is going to be their own personal chalice. The reason these are so good is because the very third modifier on this is going to have a white colour to it rather than any of the standard ones, meaning that you can fit absolutely any relic in here, which can really help your builds out and allow you a much more flexible playstyle, especially if you've got relics that you weren't able to put into your builds in any other way. Now lastly, and I'm not going to go into this too much because I'm going to be doing a separate guide on this one because I think it would be quite in depth, but for the characters you're using, when you're trying to actually set them up with relics and work out which ones you want, your best bet will be to try and enhance the actual playstyle and attributes they're actually given, and you can never really go wrong with enhancing their damage, or of course using some of their own remembrance relics in order to round them out a little bit. For example, I've got the Duchess here. She's going to be using daggers a lot, so anytime I can enhance that by getting myself an extra bit of damage with my daggers, that's going to work out absolutely ideal. But as well as that, physical damage also works out quite nicely if I hadn't got any of that, or if I didn't have that, maybe I could put in a boss relic or another remembrance relic in order to make my build a little bit more rounded or enhance my overall playstyle. But if you're out of ideas and you're not exactly sure which way to go with your set characters, remember you can always head over straight down this direction, where you're going to be heading towards the visual codex, and this is going to give you all of the stats and attributes for the characters and what their preferred weapons are, which in turn will be exactly what they start off with within your expeditions. So if you want to enhance those, give them a little bit of boosted damage, or try and spec into their higher tier attributes, that can work out perfect in order to enhance your character even more when you're starting out on those expeditions. But yeah, hopefully that's helped everyone out. This is pretty much the best ways in the game that you'll be able to grab up those relics and what you should be looking out for. There's going to be a whole bunch more content away from me, as I'm really enjoying the game so far. So if you want to see some build guides or some tips, then why not hit that subscribe and bell icon. But as always, for all things gaming, take care. I'll see you on the next day.